It is time for the Royals Report, and this week we got a look at the annual Sovereign Grant Report from the royal family. The report shows just how much money is used each year to support the Queen, as well as to maintain the royal palaces.
So Parliament has reportedly unleashed a devastating review into Meghan Markle's spending, and what they uncovered hit like a bombshell. We're talking about a financial scandal wrapped in royal titles and hidden behind palace walls. According to leaked findings, Meghan may have continued receiving taxpayer-funded perks long after she and Harry stepped away from official royal duties, and not just once or twice. Allegedly, this was happening quietly, repeatedly, and without public awareness. Let's be crystal clear: when Meghan and Harry left their roles, they weren't just stepping back from ribbon cutings and photo ops. They were stepping out of the financial umbrella that comes with being a working royal, or at least that's what the public was told. But now the report suggests something entirely different: that Meghan, despite walking away, supposedly kept tapping into the very system she claimed to reject.
This time around, the Sovereign Grant showed that the money that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle used seems pretty significant. So for more on this, we're joined by BBC Royals correspondent Sarah Campbell from London.
Hello all. Sorry we're late. Our flight was delayed.
It was mint though. Tell them we were in mint.
They gave you a mint. How lovely.
I have some gum in my purse if you'd like. Oh, we were in mint. It's like their business class. It's really nice. And
Meghan, I'm begging you to stop now.
Security-covered travel and questionable private engagements are supposedly protected under the Taxpayer Cent, and this isn't just a few thousand in dispute. If these claims hold weight, this might total into the millions. A kind of misuse that generates national outrage, not just tabloid gossip. And yet this didn't enter the media straight away. It built up behind the scenes. Quiet inquiries, leaked memos, and questions whispered in the Commons, and then finally, it erupted. The public found out, Parliament found fire. And Meghan was reportedly blindsided, because when the public learns that someone who rejected the royal spotlight is still living off its privileges, that's the kind of contradiction that sets Westminster on fire. But this was just the first crack in the foundation.
Money given to the Queen by the British taxpayers is spent. And this year we found there'd been a 41% increase in spending.
Oh my gosh, I worked so hard.
But as you say, the main headlines really were grabbed by this £2.4 million spending on Frogmore Cottage.
Second, the findings were shared behind closed doors. Reports indicate Meghan lost it. This wasn't a cool denial or a poised PR response. This apparently was panic. According to palace insiders, she immediately went on the phone, throwing off calls to important staff, media allies, and legal advisors. The tone frenetic, the energy desperate, the image, the behind-the-scenes pandemonium. Late-night meetings in Montecito, confidential Zoom calls with PR teams, and communications flying back and forth between handlers and lawyers. Meghan apparently wasn't just furious. She was enraged not only at the league, but also at the fact that she wasn't ahead of it.
People wondering whether £2.4 million is a lot of money to spend on one dwelling. We should say that the palace were keen to point out that the expensive fixtures and fittings, sort of personal touches, would have been paid for by Harry and Meghan.
So much fun.
Well, you and I are so similar. You and
your guests, when was the last time you were surprised and delighted?
Last night, and also this morning, but last night when I went back to my hotel, and then you put your thumbprint in, which is what makes it a fun group activity, and you could fill it with jam, you could do chocolate, anything you like, of course.
Yeah, Anne-Marie, you're right. This is to do with the Royal Foundation. This is like an umbrella organisation where last February, we saw the first annual meeting. It was dubbed the Fab Four because for the first time we had Harry and Meghan on stage, Kate and William on stage.
This woman is a born manipulator. The Netflix thing, she doesn't do the work. She don't make the jams. It's all made for her.
What matters is what we have on the inside.
This also follows all the stories about her bullying staff over here in the UK. which is unresolved. NDAs stopped all that stuff coming out, but she bullied people in a very unpleasant way over here.
The only thing HRH stands for in association with Meghan Markle is her ruthless homewreckerness.
Wanting to exploit their royal titles, I think it stinks. And I think what King Charles should do, he should just strip them of the titles.
According to many sources, Meghan had always prided herself on staying one step ahead of the press. But this story didn't come from a tabloid or a disgruntled staffer. It came from the very institution. She tried to leave behind Parliament doesn't leak lightly, so when the news broke, it was already too late for spin. That's why reports say the strategy shifted into overdrive. Allegedly, she began preparing a counter-narrative, something sympathetic, something distracting, maybe another docuseries. Maybe another interview, but behind the polished surface, the panic was reportedly real. The pressure wasn't just public, it was deeply personal, because if this narrative sticks, it doesn't just make Meghan look privileged, it makes her look deceptive. And that's a much harder image to scrub clean. Meanwhile, the paper trail was already being pieced together.
The people who are running this thing she's doing said to her that they would like her mother to be there too, and she said, no, absolutely not. They said, well, can she do something with you? You can do something together. Absolutely not. She was absolutely furious.
For many people, the Frogmore Cottage repayment marked the end of the financial drama. Meghan and Harry had used $2.4 million of public money to renovate the home, and after stepping back, they repaid it. That gesture was intended to settle the debt. Case closed, right? Not even close. According to recent sources, that reimbursement was just the beginning. Investigators studying the date and financial documents now indicate the Frogmore payment may have been a distraction from far bigger spending issues. Security details, travel arrangements, personal aids, these weren't covered in the publicized payback. And yet, sources claim they continued to be funded directly or indirectly by the UK taxpayer. That raises the question, what else did we miss? Some insiders reportedly believe that Meghan's team exploited loopholes. For example, security provided in the interest of public safety rather than for the royal household. Travel labeled semi-official. Private engagements categorized as diplomatic appearances, etc.
Zoom in here and it says, with the compliments of Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. That is a title that was stripped from her when she and Harry made their whole racism debacle and left the UK, left their royal duties, and moved to the US to bug all of us.
She's on her own, and maybe that's what she wanted. Independence and autonomy. But with that independence come consequences when things go wrong, when questions arise, and when Parliament comes knocking. There's no cavalry coming, and Meghan's team wasn't staying silent. The silence from the royals was one thing, but Meghan's team reportedly did the exact opposite. According to sources close to the situation, a full-blown PR campaign was immediately put into motion. Strategic talking points were allegedly drafted, distributed, and delivered to friendly outlets. The goal was to reframe the entire story instead of taxpayer abuse. The angle became safety. Instead of entitlement, it became vulnerability. They spun the narrative hard. Meghan is a public figure, a mother, a woman who's received threats. Therefore, protection is not a luxury, it's a necessity. And if that protection happens to be paid for by taxpayers, so be it. After all, wouldn't the public rather be safe than sorry? That messaging showed up everywhere? Opinion columns, anonymous quotes even? Soft interviews with commentators, but Parliament wasn't buying it because this wasn't just about danger. It was about fairness, about principle, about drawing a line between what's needed and what's exploited. And according to reports, this spin only made MPs angrier. It made them feel manipulated, like they were being gaslit by a media-savvy team that thought emotional appeals could override financial accountability. But that wasn't the message Parliament was receiving. This is where the internal chaos started spilling into the public eye: leaked emails, classified notes, documented conversations that really no one was supposed to see, and according to reports, those leaks didn't simply confirm suspicions, they put gasoline on the fire. Internal email reportedly circulating among a royal finance subcommittee purportedly placed Meghan's name next to various line amounts labeled security expenses. The kicker is they were reportedly related to private activities, some of them social and some supposedly classified as personal errands. Not royal engagements or state occasions, just regular outings labeled with a security bill reimbursed by the taxpayer. Another leaked document purportedly included correspondence between senior aides and government advisors, querying how long this special exception had been allowed to continue. According to one paragraph, a staffer asked point blank, "Have we verified that this is still justified post-departure?" They weren't anonymous whispers. They were documented exchanges of words on official letterhead pulled straight from internal discussions. And the leaks didn't stop with one memo over the following days. More internal fragments surfaced online showing what appears to be growing unease from those inside the system, who didn't want to be complicit anymore. That's when Parliament stepped in. Harder reports say lawmakers demanded a full audit of every security bill and travel expense tied to Meghan since her departure from royal life, and not just in the UK. Calls supposedly went out for coordination with foreign partners to track any taxpayer-supported protection used abroad. The message was clear: no more half-truths, no more vague explanations. People wanted numbers, dates, signatures, and most of all, accountability. Then came the possible endgame. When a scandal reaches a certain temperature, people stop talking about damage control and start talking about consequences. And in this case, the consequences could be historic. Reports out of Westminster now claim that MPs are actively exploring the possibility of stripping Meghan of her Duchess title. This isn't just symbolic. Strategic, because titles in Britain mean more than just status. They come with perceived legitimacy, implicit respect, and in many cases, privileges that extend beyond social niceties. The argument making its way through Parliament is simple. If Meghan has chosen to abandon her duties, live independently, and step outside the institution, then why should she retain the institution's badge of honor? One MP reportedly stated, "You can't demand privacy, claim independence, and still use the Crown's umbrella when convenient." That idea is growing rapidly. This isn't about punishing Meghan for leaving. It's about setting limits and what leaving truly means. If you reject the system, you don't get to cherry-pick the benefits. Even allies of the royal family, people who were once hesitant to weigh in, are now reportedly softening their stance. A growing number of voices across political lines are starting to agree. Removing the title wouldn't be personal, it would be procedural. A necessary move to reinforce the separation between the institution and the individual. And if Parliament pushes that through, it would be a major moment in modern royal history. Titles rarely get revoked, but when public trust is on the line, especially with taxpayer money involved, it becomes more than possible, it becomes probable. But this entire scandal didn't just stay in Parliament while Parliament debated and insiders leaked. The internet absolutely exploded. The story spread like wildfire. Faster than any royal wedding, faster than any Oprah interview, and this time the conversation wasn't split. It was brutal. Reddit threads racked up thousands of comments within hours. Hashtags like "not taxpayer Duchess" and "revoke the title" started trending across Twitter. YouTube exploded with breakdown videos and deep dives. Pundits called it a scandal for the ages, and they weren't incorrect. This wasn't just about Meghan. It was about how modern institutions handle accountability, and according to public reaction, not very well. People wanted to know how long this had been going on, how many taxpayer pounds had been spent without scrutiny, how much had been covered up, and how someone who left royal life could still get royal perks. Even erstwhile supporters, people who defended Meghan for years, reportedly began to draw back. One viral video on TikTok displayed a side-by-side of Meghan's statements about privacy and independence next to leaked headlines about government-sponsored protection. The caption, "So, which is it?" Across comment sections, you could feel the tide turning. Sympathy was being replaced with skepticism, and admiration with anger. People didn't just want apologies. They wanted action. and the real question hanging. Over all of it, louder than ever was simple. What happens next? So, what does this mean for Meghan's future? Here's the bottom line. Parliament's reported review might just be the beginning. Meghan allegedly lost it. Royal silence speaks deafening volumes, and public trust is fraying. Whether titled or not, this scandal lands a heavy blow. UK taxpayers are watching Westminster's, monitoring, and the question hanging in the air is, has Meghan used public funds to secure private privilege? And can she ever fully wash this off? This isn't just a rumor. It's reportedly a game changer. And no matter how tight the spin, once taxpayer money is involved, the fallout never fully disappears.